Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We're just setting up for our event today. Type in where you're from in the meantime as we get started. We'll be starting in about 60 seconds. All right, fantastic. We are live streaming, ladies and gentlemen, and we will have about 60 seconds before we start today's event. That's your opportunity to make sure anyone you've invited on is here. So 60 seconds from now. In the meantime, do us a favor, type in exactly where you're watching us from. We're live streaming in the Zoom room, Neumi TV, as well as on the YouTube channel for Neumi Official right now. Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Firth, one of the founding field advisory board members with Neumi, and it is my pleasure today to be your MC. We are live streaming onto YouTube right now, but we're also here in the Zoom room. I've got people logged in from all over the place. It's good to see people from Indonesia, from Canada, from Kansas, from Perth, Western Australia, Colorado, Canada. You're typing faster than I can keep up with. Lots of people logging in from everywhere. Just in case you don't speak English as clearly as I do, although some would argue an Australian accent isn't that clear, I'm going to play a very quick video for you just on some audio about how to follow on, if you like, with closed captions so you can read. Have a quick look at this as we get started.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Neumi. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
Fantastic. So feel free to listen along. Someone just Whoop, somebody's clicked it already. Speaking English at this end. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to actually introduce you to our speaker today, our founder, Steve Scott. Steve and I have known each other for 16 years now. Steve was behind the Total Gym with billions in sales, one of the most influential people in direct response television worldwide. Then I met him in the glutathione research space with an early product in the industry. And of course, Steve needed some investors for this amazing breakthrough 6 years ago. And here we are today. Neumi launched 2 years ago. We are taking the world by storm. We're in 67 different countries. And Steve is talking to us from, I just accidentally muted you there, Steve. Do it again. Steve is talking to you from all the way from Canada, because we're about to do a live event there. So please join me in welcoming Steve Scott.
Uh-oh. It won't unmute.
You are unmuted. All good.
Oh, okay. Can you see me? Because I can't see me even.
Yep, we can see you and hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I'm looking at a black screen. So I'll go by faith. Michael, please tell me if I stop being heard or seen, because I can't see anything except a couple people on top.
Will do.
Okay. Well, I'm flying blind, which I've done before, so this is a new experience, fairly new. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Steve Scott, and my background is television marketing. For many years, 35 years, I would find breakthrough products that were new to the marketplace. A breakthrough is a product that can do something that nothing else in the world can do as effectively, efficiently, or economically. And once I would find a product, we'd typically reformulate it, re-engineer it for mass consumption, and then we would put it on TV with a major celebrity. We started with $5,000, and by the time I retired, we had done many billions of dollars in sales, and we had more than 90 major spokespersons. We had Academy Award winners, Emmy Award winners, Grammy Award winners, Hall of Fame athletes, and it was a great run. I retired a few years ago because I had met with a scientist from the Mayo Clinic and or a medical doctor, but was also a research scientist, and he introduced me to the word glutathione. And as he showed me his clinicals, we were actually meeting in Chuck Norris's home. Chuck and Christy Brinkley were my spokespersons for a project we had called Total Gym. Total Gym is our longest running infomercial. That's now been on the air every week in every market in the United States for 28 years. And I was at Chuck's house filming a new infomercial in 2006, and I brought Dr. Keller in, and he introduced me to the word glutathione. I had never heard of it, didn't have a lot of interest until he started showing me some of his clinical studies. As it turns out, glutathione is not only one of the two most important molecules in life, the other one being oxygen. It is also one of the greatest miracle working molecules. It performs over 400 functions in the human body. It's the most studied molecule in medical science, over 183,000 published studies in various science and medical journals. It is truly amazing. And so tonight what we're going to talk about is glutathione. We're going to talk about the breakthrough we've made. We're going to talk about what it really does mean to the world, what it means to the world, what it means to you, and what it means to your world. It is truly amazing. And but before I do that, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, Michael. I want to show you the effect. We had a huge breakthrough with glutathione, and it started out as a supplement. We're going to tell you about what makes that novel. But out of that came a topical application and a spray. And because I can't show you what we're doing in your brain, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, I can't get inside and show you that. But I can show you what we do with the largest organ, in the human body, which is your skin. Your skin is not only your largest organ, it has more square inches, or more, if you're in the metric world, more square centimeters than any other organ. It weighs more than any other organ. It is amazing what your skin does. Now, your skin has all the problems that your other organs has, as far as pollutants that are carried to it through the bloodstream, as far as attacks by free radicals within the cells. But it has a couple things that make it even harder to bring about a healthy change than any other organ, namely its exposure to radiation. Your skin is exposed to solar radiation during the day, and it's exposed to cosmic radiation during the night. If you fly and travel a lot, as I do, right now I'm in Toronto, Canada. I was 4 hours on a plane today. I'll soon be traveling to the Philippines. Hooray, I'm so excited. and to Indonesia to have our official launch of Indonesia. Well, that's a lot of flying at 35,000 feet. At 35,000 feet, you get more than 10 times the amount of solar and cosmic radiation that you get while you're on the ground. All of that's very damaging to the skin and potentially damaging to your DNA. So the skin has battles that the rest of your organs that are inside your body don't have. Plus, it has all the ones that the other organs do. Now, we like to show the skin because if you can bring about the kind of change we bring in the skin, then you can imagine what we do with the rest of the body. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at what happened when we took our technology that I'll explain in just a few minutes and applied it to a topical skincare. Michael, if you can bring up our slides, we'll show them samples.
The slides are up right now. Oh, you can't see it, can you, Steve?
I can't see it. Oh, no. What can I do, Michael?
Good question. I do not know, Steve. We're up with Sherry Werner. Do you want me to just scroll through them? If you can't see your end, there must be some technical glitch at that end.
Oh, Chimney Christmas. Should I try to come back on?
Yeah, maybe do that.
Okay, I'll come back on while you're entertaining the troops. Oh, my whole computer's frozen. That's a problem. Here we go.
All right.
No,
I may be grabbing the driver's seat in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Just hang in there while we're doing that.
I'm gonna try to exit out on my computer and get on my telephone.
Okay, beautiful. Do that. Beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, just a slight intermission as we get some technology going again today. Obviously, Steve is in traveling, which is affecting our technology, which won't take us too long to reboot. I'll just get Steve's computer, or someone said retrograde. We'll just get Steve logged back in on his phone first. And once we've done that, we will restart. Just want to make sure Steve is logged in under the word Steve as soon as I see it. Here he comes, Steve Scott. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, won't be long. And by the way, I just realized that the YouTube has an issue as well. We're YouTubing into the wrong spot, but that's another story. All right, let's get rid of this and find Steve. Sorry, Steve, I'm just looking for you in the chat because there's a lot of people, and when you get a full room, it makes it very difficult to find someone in the middle of a meeting. Here you go. Ask to start video, make co-host. All right, Steve, you are a co-host on your phone. If you can unmute and turn on your camera. We'll be right with you, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is. Beautiful.
Okay. Hooray!
You're back.
Oh,
where there's a will, there's a way.
Good. Okay, good. And there we go. Okay, so this first photo, what happened, she was the very first one that we used skincare with. I put it in spray bottles, and we then sent it to a handful of people and said, let's see what happens. Spray your face for 8 weeks. Take a before picture and an after picture. Well, Sherry was the very first one to get me her after picture. Now, this was in 2018 when we were just doing lab batches. We didn't even have branding yet. And we sent her that. She sprayed her face 5 times a day for 7 weeks. And when I saw that picture, I've owned 5 makeup and skincare companies. And when we did that one, I thought, oh my gosh, we have the world's best skincare. I sent a copy of that picture to my former formulator who had become the head formulator for Allergan, which created Botox. And when he saw that, he said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. I said, no, she hasn't, John. He said, there's no topical product in the world that can do that. Botox can't even do it. Well, he was wrong. And I told him how we're doing it, and then he believed it. Okay, let's start going through some of these so you can see it wasn't a freak accident or a one-time event. Now, this lady, that was a rash that had been there for 7 months, and she didn't even spray. She just swished, I found out. And you can see the after product, the after picture. That was after 3 days of swishing, which was really neat. This lady, it was in Australia, And this was 6 weeks. Now, Australia has some of the worst sun damage of any continent. And she, of course, had experienced, she was only in her 50s. And yet, look at the difference that was made in 6 weeks of spraying. Okay, let's keep going. Next. Okay, I love this lady because she's younger, had no skincare problem, just a ruddy complexion. And I will tell you, having owned a makeup company, the after picture is kind of what you go for. Yeah, but nobody gets there. But it just looks like a peaches and cream complexion. And that's what happens when you make unhealthy skin healthy. Okay, here we go. You can see the difference there. And let's go to the next one. Okay, I love this one. She is an esthetician in Miami, has her own skincare salon. She not only didn't wait 8 weeks, she didn't wait 10 days. She sent that after 8 days and said, look at the difference, how much brighter, tighter my skin is. My pores have all but disappeared and my skin is so much smoother. She said, Steve, I've been in skincare my whole adult life. There is nothing in the world that can do this. This is a miracle. Next. Okay, this man's here in Canada. I hope I meet him this weekend. He's here. He was 85. He's now 86. And that was in 10 weeks, just spraying his hand for 10 weeks. And look at the difference it made. I mean, it really is remarkable. It looked like it took 40 years off of his skin. This lady's had this problem with her eyes for many years, most of her adult life, and never thought they'd go away. Well, that was 6 weeks of spraying. This lady was just getting started in 4 weeks, and yet you can already see how smooth her complexion was. Next. These were my hands. My son wanted me to do a half face because I used to do that when I had a makeup company. But I said no, because this is permanent change, basically, and I don't want your mom to not go out with me anymore. It'll look kind of goofy. So I sprayed my right hand, but not my left hand, and you can see the difference. I mean, it was huge difference. That was for 7 weeks. Next. Okay, this lady's just getting started, yet you can already see the even skin tone, the brightening and tightening of her skin. Next. Okay, this lady's one of our Neumi distributors' clients here in Australia. And she said, I love what it's done for my skin, but everybody's asking me how I lost my weight. And I didn't lose any weight. My face just got tighter and brighter, and people think I lost weight. Next. Here, that's okay. You can see the difference in the legs, and that's only, what, 6 days. So that's pretty cool. Now, this lady was only 2 weeks, and I like it because she's younger, but you can already see how it evened out the skin tone. I mean, her complexion, once again, looks peaches and cream, which is pretty cool because that's real hard to do with skincare. Next. Okay, this lady, you can see the difference in her neck. Next, that's after 2 weeks. That's really crazy. This lady was 4 weeks, and look at her neck, look at her face, tighter, brighter. I mean, it's really awesome. This is an 84-year-old, and she said, I had the legs of an 84-year-old. I accept it. I'm never going to have young legs. Wrong. 10 weeks of spraying her legs, and it looked like she took 30 years off of her legs. Okay, this lady was just getting going in 7 days, but you can already see the even complexion. Next. See, we're moving fast. This was me. I was much younger here. I was 71 years old. I sprayed my face about 5 times a day for 7 weeks. You can see it got a lot tighter, a lot brighter. The inflammation's gone. I mean, it's crazy. Next. Okay, I love this one because this was like Sherry. It looks like she had a facelift after only 1 month. But look what she's 60 years old. Look what happened after 7 months. See, you don't stop. Okay, let's go to the next one. Look at that. Now, I met her when she was like the after picture here. She was 60 years old, and honestly, she looked like she was 38 to 42. And I used to do a lot of it. I've casted thousands of people for the films I produced. And I will tell you, I'm pretty good at guessing an age, and I could have never, ever guessed her age on that after picture. Next. Okay, you can see the crepiness in the legs. That's something people aren't used to getting rid of, but 12 weeks of spraying, and it got rid of it. Next. Now, I love this. This is an 84-year-old lady, And it didn't take 2 weeks, it took 4 weeks. And I said, how do you get that kind? If you can zoom in on that, Michael, I don't know if you can or not, but what a difference. Look, you can't get that kind of a difference with a facelift, with anything on the market. And yet I said, how often did you spray? Excuse me. She said, well, I don't know because I sprayed so often. I had bottles of the spray all over the house. And every time I got near one, I picked it up and sprayed my face. So she lost count. But that, honestly, it looks like she took 40 years off of her face. And she's in her 80s. Next. Okay, there you can just see the beautiful skin tones started even 2 weeks into it. Next. Okay, this lady was a smoker. You can see the difference in her neck and her mouth. Once again, quite remarkable, 8 weeks. And this lady's in Nigeria. By the way, we're seeing some real good stuff happen in Nigeria these days. We're on the ground in Nigeria and Ghana. And her daughter was a doctor and was treating as a patient one of our Neumi family members and asked, what are you doing to your face? You look so much better and younger. She said, I'm using this spray. And she said, well, can I have some for my mom? So that's how she got it. Now, why is that so important? Because the very same mechanism that is slowing down, it appears to be slowing down accelerated aging and even kind of rewinding. But that same mechanism of action is taking place in every cell in the body, your brain cells, your heart cells, your eyes, your ears, every place. And because our product is such a breakthrough. So what is it? Well, let's first talk about glutathione, and then I'll tell you what the breakthrough is. Glutathione is right up there with oxygen. No glutathione, there'd be no life on Earth. No plants, trees, animals, fish, birds, people. We'd all disappear within minutes if we extracted everybody's glutathione. Glutathione is miraculously made by every cell in your body. It performs over 400 functions. Many of those are critical to life. They're all critical to performance, how well you perform or don't perform. How do you get through your day? What happens when a virus or a bacteria comes around? Do you get sick, or are you one of the lucky ones that don't get sick? How fast do you recover if you do get sick, or how slow do you recover? All those things are highly impacted by glutathione. So what is glutathione? Glutathione is what we call a tripeptide. It's 3 amino acids in one molecule, sewn together through a 100-step electrochemical process inside the cell. Once it's in the cell, it performs, like I said, 400 functions, but some of the most important ones, let's talk about just 3 of those functions, 3 or 4. When your body makes hemoglobin, your red blood cells, the purpose is for those red blood cells to connect and bind to oxygen molecules and then deliver those molecules to all 50 trillion cells. Well, the problem is hemoglobin has the wrong electromagnetic charge. It's like trying to bring north poles of magnets together. You know, you think you can do it, it gets real close, whoop, can't do it, wrong polarity. So hemoglobin, in order to carry oxygen, has to be reduced to a +2. When that reduction takes place, it instantly binds to the oxygen and delivers it to the 50 trillion cells. The only reduction agent for hemoglobin, the only thing that can reduce it to that +2 is glutathione. So without glutathione, there's no oxygen transfer. You take that nice deep breath of air, and the air goes in your lungs, but it doesn't go anywhere else, and you soon die. Everything dies real quick. Your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys, everything. So very important. What else does glutathione do? Well, we all saw in the pandemic how important the immune system was. The people with robust immune systems, people with immune systems that were quick on the spot to produce those immune assassins called T cells, they survived the pandemic just fine. People without that fast response either stayed sick longer, they ended up as long haulers with COVID, or they died. Now, how fast your T cells respond to a bacterial or viral insult is entirely dependent on your glutathione levels. You see, when a bacteria or virus invades your body, your immune system quickly goes to work to think, okay, we got to kill that somehow. Well, I think this will kill it. So then they assign T cells, the assassins. There's also B cells that are assassins, but T cells are the main ones. And those T cells then attack the bacteria or virus and they try to kill it. Problem is, the bacteria or virus isn't standing still. It's reproducing, starts out with a little bit, and then it goes more and more and more, and all over the body. That's the bad news. Now, glutathione, the T cells, for glutathione to be, I don't mean glutathione, for your T cells to be effective, they have to reproduce very rapidly to get ahead of and kill the bacterial or viral invasion. Well, how fast your T cells and B cells can reproduce is entirely dependent on the available glutathione. If you have low levels of glutathione, which at least half the world's population does, and chances are most of the people on this phone, then your T cells are reproducing like this, while your virus or bacteria is reproducing like that. Guess who wins, the bacteria or virus? So on the other hand, if you have high glutathione levels, the T cells reproduce explosively. There was an article written in the Journal of Infectious Diseases. It was authored by a Russian scientist, and he proved his point. In fact, it's been validated through other studies. And that was that basically people with high glutathione levels didn't die for the most part. In fact, he went even further, and they may have gotten sick, but they didn't get as sick. They recovered faster and they didn't die. His article, which you can look up, is in the Journal of Infectious Diseases and from the American Chemical Society. It's May of 2021. And the title of the article is Endogenous Levels of Glutathione. Low levels of endogenous glutathione as the cause of severe symptoms and death in COVID-19 patients. Now, if you know enough about glutathione, I just spoke to a bunch of doctors and stuff. They thought they knew a lot about glutathione. They really don't, because most people don't study it. We've been in this now for 17 years. I personally put millions of dollars into the R&D and to get to where we are today. Glutathione is it is the most studied molecule, as I mentioned earlier, in medical science, and there's a reason for that. It impacts so many things. So highly impactful of the immune system. It also is the sole protector of your mitochondrial DNA. Why is that important? As long as the mitochondrial DNA remains intact and doesn't break, the cell can't mutate. On the other hand, when it's broken, the cell is then at risk for mutation and multiplication. Of course, that ends up killing millions of people around the world. In fact, there was an article recently that I read on one of the news sites that said that cancer, which is mutating cells multiplying, will become the number one killer. Right now, it's the number 2 killer to heart disease. And they said the current generation, it will probably be 1 out of every 2 deaths. So not good. But as long as the DNA remains intact, the cell can't mutate. So how does glutathione do that? How does it protect the mitochondrial DNA? Well, what breaks the mitochondrial DNA, 2 things primarily. It can be a genetic defect, but that's not as often as you'd think. It primarily is the chemical load in the cell. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals, and the problem is none of them belong there. In fact, there was just another article today on Fox News that said it's talking about our drinking water and how our drinking water brings chemicals into our body that aren't supposed to be there. And it points out it's very dangerous. It also brings heavy metals. And the heavy metals and the chemicals can break down the glutathione. Also, what you're going to hear about in a second is free radical attack. Free radicals can break the mitochondrial DNA. Glutathione protects the mitochondrial DNA in two major ways. Number one, it is the detoxifier of the cell. It has a sticky sulfhydryl molecule that sticks to the chemical, just like fly paper to a fly or those sticky spider traps, sticks to it and escorts the chemical out. It's also the primary chelator of the cell for heavy metals. A friend of mine, somebody most of you knew about, was dying of mercury poisoning. He co-authored a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark Victor Hansen. And I met his girlfriend, then later I met him. Now she's his wife. And I got her on one of my early glutathione products, and then she gave it to him. Harvard had been trying to chelate the mercury out of his system for months with no success. And he got on my former product, not this one, and started feeling so good that 3 months later, he went back to Harvard and they said, oh my gosh, and this was after a year and a half. They said, you have no mercury. Your mercury level is 0. That's because glutathione is the primary chelator of your body, of your cells. It chelates mercury, arsenic, lead, cadmium, copper. When there's excess, like we need copper, but we don't need near as much as gets into our cells. None of us need arsenic or mercury. Anyway, so glutathione is the big hero, protecting the mitochondrial DNA, prolonging its integrity. Critical. Dr. Mehmet Oz said it like this. He's a Harvard heart surgeon that had a TV show. Oprah had him on the air for many years. And he said, glutathione, it's the most important antioxidant you've never heard of. It's what protects us from the diseases we fear the most. So that's what Dr. Oz said. Now, how does it do that? Part of it is this detoxification, but I'm going to tell you the main part. Every cell in your body, all 50 trillion, are attacked 10 to 20,000 times a day. 10 to 20,000. You have 50 trillion cells and they're all under attack every day, not just from outside, but most of the free radicals are created within the cell. And they're attacking the DNA, they're creating oxidative stress. The oxidative stress creates accelerated aging of the cell. Do you want to get older faster or stay younger longer is the question I always ask. And it's really quite alarming if you knew what free radicals. Now, free radicals are scavengers. The way they work, they steal an electron from the cell. When that scavenging takes place, the cell it creates an abundance of oxygen, too much oxygen for the cell to process, reactive oxygen. And the result is two things that are really bad. The oxidative stress produces inflammation in the cell, and inflammation's our mortal enemy. Inflammation helps open the gateway to all these diseases. It accelerates the progression of diseases. In the United States, almost 80% of all heart attacks are caused by inflammation. Inflammation accelerates degenerative neural diseases. Inflammation accelerates the progression of diabetes. Inflammation does all these terrible things, and it's created by oxidative stress caused by free radicals taking electrons out of the cell. So we take antioxidants, right in our mouth. And what do antioxidants do? Antioxidants mitigate oxidative stress by donating a free electron to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters the free radical, captures it, and neutralizes it. So that's really cool. Now, glutathione is called the master antioxidant, and you'll see why in a minute. There is a spectrum of free radicals. Some are based out of hydrogen, some are sourced in oxygen, some are sourced in nitrogen. And they're produced, they have different structures, different chemical compositions, different sources. So there's a whole spectrum of free radicals. all antioxidants except glutathione are monofocus. That means they can neutralize one type of free radical, but they leave all the others. So you take vitamin C, great antioxidant, it can get rid of that particular type of free radical, but it leaves all these guys. CoQ10 might get rid of that one. Superoxide dismutase, vitamin E, vitamin A, but none of them get rid of all of them. They're monofocus. Glutathione, on the other hand, is called the master antioxidant because unlike all the others, it can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of their source, their structure, or their chemical composition. Now, today, we have to deal with free radicals that our parents and grandparents didn't have to deal with. Those 5G antennas, you know, that make cell phones. Oh, I'm talking into one, so I can't grab it. That communicate that they ride, the signals ride the microwaves, and those microwaves enter our body, and when they react with nitrogen, they create a very aggressive free radical called, and you can write this down because you need to read about it, peroxynitrite. Peroxynitrite is one of the most aggressive and longest living of all free radicals. It outlives oxygen-based free radicals by 1 billion times. Okay, has a life that's 1 billion times longer than oxygen-based free radicals. And guess what it does? It attacks, it goes after the DNA. That's one reason we see all these bad things happening. I mean, one of many reasons, because a lot of things caused bad free radicals. Now, glutathione is the master antioxidant. It is 1 million times more powerful than if you combine vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10. Now, glutathione, 1 million times more powerful. Now, why? Well, glutathione is called the miracle molecule because it recycles itself. So it donates an electron, capturing and neutralizing a free radical, and then it makes a new free electron and donates that, and goes on and on. It recycles itself. None of the other free radical, none of the other antioxidants can recycle themselves. Now, vitamin C and vitamin E can be recycled 3 to 5 times by glutathione. So glutathione not only recycles itself, it can recycle vitamin C and vitamin E as well if you have enough glutathione. If you don't, it won't. In fact, if you don't have enough glutathione, your cell has the right to close the gateway to vitamin C and vitamin E. Sorry, don't have enough glutathione to process you, so you guys stay out. It can do that. More glutathione opens door, come on in. Hey, you know what? Go ahead and take out that free radical, and while you're doing that, I'm going to recycle you so you can take out another one and another one. That's the miracle molecule. Glutathione is just unbelievable. Now, all that free radical damage, that oxidative stress, like I said, it accelerates the aging of the cell, whether it's a brain cell, a heart cell, a lung cell, doesn't matter. It accelerates all of that. And that's why we desperately need more glutathione. Now, glutathione declines as we age by anywhere from 8 to 15%. So I'll be 76 in a couple months. And at 76, my body will likely be making about 60% less glutathione than it made at the age of 20. Now, scientists have discovered, and there's great articles on this, that as glutathione starts to decline at the age of 20, as it declines, it opens up the gateway to 78 disease classes, lung diseases, heart disease, neurological disorders, diabetes, other kidney diseases, liver diseases. Opens up the gateway as glutathione declines. So why don't we go buy some glutathione capsules? You can buy them at any health food store. The problem is when the glutathione hits the stomach, it breaks. It's a fragile molecule. It can't handle the stomach acid that has to digest it. Same thing with its precursing nutrient, cysteine. Cysteine is very fragile and it breaks. If you've ever eaten asparagus and you notice a particular odor when you odor when you go to the bathroom, That is the L-cysteine breaking and releasing its sulfur. Now you'll notice it next time you eat asparagus. Okay, so how do we get it? One way to get it is an infusion. Now, glutathione infusions take just shy of an hour. They usually cost between $150 and $300, depending on the solution and who's administering it. And it will get into the bloodstream. Problem is, once it gets into the cell, it only has a half-life of about 90 minutes on average. So it gets about a 6-hour bang, and then it has a tail way down here, almost not potent at all, that goes for about another 20 to 30 hours. But really, the big bang from a glutathione infusion is about 6 hours. So some athletes will do it before a game. They can afford it. They make a lot of money. Most people can't afford it. We had a surgeon in Miami, Florida. He was doing plastic surgery 14 hours a day, 5 days a week. In order to maintain his mental focus and mental stamina and his physical stamina, he would take 3 glutathione IVs a week, $900 a week for years. And then somebody introduced him to our product. He thought there's no way that swishing a liquid that looks like and tastes like water could possibly compete with IV glutathione. So he expected when he made the switch to see his mental stamina and his physical stamina go down. Instead, for him, they went up. He never again went back to IVs. He was taking less than $2 a serving compared to $300 an IV. The nice thing about our product, you swish it like a mouthwash. And while you're doing that, particles are transferring right into your bloodstream. You're holding it under your tongue, still transferring, and then you swallow it. Some of the cofactors that we have in it can handle the stomach, so we say swallow it. But the glutathione and L-cysteine in our product is going right into your bloodstream. And we've been told by a nanoscientist at the University of Utah that within 70 seconds of it getting into your bloodstream, it's out of the bloodstream. So it's delivered to the cells that quick. How can that be? Our particle size is so tiny, and instead of using lipids or liposomal delivery, we're encapsulating with water molecules, and it's just a very, very fast delivery. So we tell athletes, and we have world-class and some world champion athletes on our product, and we tell them, swish 5 minutes before your event. If you have a multi-hour event and you want to keep your glutathione levels maxed out, then swish every hour. And we have had some athletes in multi-hour events, and they'll swish every hour, and it is amazing. We did a test with the United States Air Force with a security team. They have 12-hour duty calls. They're wearing 30 pounds of equipment, and it's very fatiguing. Well, they had been on a lot of energy drinks, sadly, in the sense that those drinks, according to the Military Times, the magazine produced by the military for the military, that results in a higher incidence of PTSDs, anxiety disorders, sleep disorders, and so on. Well, we did a 4-month test. Now, all these guys work 12-hour shifts, and 3 times a week, they're expected to work out for at least 90 minutes workouts, 3 times a week. And what they saw, with no prompting whatsoever, by the 4th day of the first month, they weren't on their energy products anymore. They didn't need them. Anytime they felt even a slight start to a decline in their physical stamina or their mental focus, they swished, boom, came right back. They called it their magic reset. And so they absolutely loved it. Anyway, that's what we have. We did do some work with athletes right out of the gate. I knew that if we really had what I thought we had, and we call it HydraStat as our technology, but I thought, let's see what we do with athletes. So we took an athlete and named Bill Gillespie. Bill had been the strength and conditioning coach of the Seattle Seahawks National Football League team. And then he went to his alma mater to be their strength and conditioning coach for their football team. But he's been an amateur weightlifter his whole life. And in 2008, he set the world record in the bench press. He benched 804 pounds. I called him in 2018 when he was 59. And I said, how you doing, Bill? He said, not good, Steve. I said, what's going on? He said, well, my recovery time is a lot slower. So I used to lift heavy 4 times a week. Now I can only lift heavy once a week. He said, all the inflammation from a lifetime of weightlifting. He says, I wake up hurting. I hurt all day. And then I hurt when I go to bed at night, so I don't sleep well. And he said, and my bench press is in the toilet. I said, what's your latest press? He said, well, this year I'm down to about 715. Next week, I hope to lift 725. And, it's been going down. It's really discouraging to me. Well, I said, I'm sending you something that I think will change everything. Well, he got on our product, did what we told him to do. And lo and behold, in the next 6 months, as a 59-year-old, his bench press went to 915 pounds. As a 60-year-old, it went to 1,050 pounds, and he was back to heavy lifting 4 times a week, only instead of sets and reps at 400 pounds, he was sets and reps at 700 pounds. Well, the last picture on the right was his retirement meet. And of course, he's drug tested at every meet. And on the bar there with 5 spotters, he successfully bench pressed 1,129.8 pounds. World record, they say, will never fall. But now look at it. In his prime, at the age of 49, he benches 800 pounds. At 59, he's down to about 759. In 6 months, he goes to 915. Then in the next 6 months, as a 60-year-old, he goes to 1,050. Then at 62, he goes to 1,129.8 pounds, 40% more weight than he lifted 13 years earlier in his prime. Now, is it reverse aging? I don't know, but I will tell you what it is. It's reduced oxidative stress, reducing inflammation, allowing for a much quicker recovery, more intensity, more frequency workouts, and so on. We had one group of sports medicine doctors do a test. They're in Europe. They have 19 clinics, and their clients are pro athletes and world-class amateur athletes. And the owner of that group called me up and said, hey, what we're seeing, nobody's ever seen. You are delaying the onset of lactic acidosis by 16.7%. He said, Steve, there's nothing we can give an athlete that'll delay it by 3%. He said, it is a miracle. He says, no wonder there's such a rapid recovery, because we see recovery times that are really accelerated. And when you start your lactic acid 16% later, for a conditioned world-class runner, it delays it from the 12th kilometer, which it would normally start at, lactic acidosis. Instead, it starts at the 14th kilometer, 2 additional kilometers before your body even starts to make lactic acid. And no wonder we see the rapid recoveries that we see, and the increased the improvement in performance. So that's what we have. What's it going to do for you and me? I'm not an athlete, but I am 75, almost 76. It's going to change the way we go through our days. Anytime you feel like you're starting to lose your edge, either to physical fatigue or mental focus going away, and you swish again. There's no side effect. Typically, I'll swish minimally once a day. When I wake up, I'll swish for 2 or 3 minutes. The label says 30 seconds, but athletes have taught me, hey, if you want a better effect, swish a little longer. And so that's what we encourage people to do. So I'll swish while I'm in the shower, first thing. And when even before I get in the shower, I've swished usually for a minute, and I'm already feeling like I've had a cup of coffee and like I'm out of the shower. I feel 100%. Now that holds all day. Now, if I have to write it, I just finished a new book. I'm writing another new book starting tonight. And because I have 6 more that I want to get finished as long as the Lord lets me remain on earth, if he's so kind to do that, if that's what he wants me to do. And so I'll often swish right before I start writing a chapter. So if I'm writing a chapter starting at midnight, I'll swish, have 100% of my focus. There's no stimulant, so it won't keep me awake. When I put my head on that pillow, the demand for it is a lot less. And I'm usually asleep within about 5 minutes, hardly ever longer than that. So that's what we have. It's going to change how you go through your day. We hope you'll consider joining us. If you're not already a part of our Neumi family, like Michael said, we're about to launch Indonesia. We're in about 68 countries, and we're changing lives. Because we manufacture in-house, we keep our costs down, which means we can keep the price way below the market value, but it also leaves plenty of room for what we have heard is the most generous compensation plan in network marketing. So we're helping people live better, live healthier, have more vitality by far. I mean, do I look like I've been flying and running around in airports all day, walking miles through terminals? And, you know, the customs took a long time here in Toronto. I'm 100% with my energy right now, and it is local time is almost 9 o'clock in the evening. That's the power of glutathione and reducing oxidative stress. And when you reduce oxidative stress, it's the biggest game changer we can have for our health, for our performance. And we're seeing that. By the way, let me just tell you 2 more things. You can go to Neumi.com and you can see there's a thing that says about us. You click on that, and then it'll say Medical Advisory Board. And you'll see doctors from Stanford, from Harvard, from the Mayo Clinic, from Texas Heart Institute, from Baylor, cardiologists, pathologists, all sorts of doctors, and some very world-renowned. And they all serve for free for a profit-making company. Look at that guy on the left. He's one of my favorite. I shouldn't say that. Everybody's my favorite. The lady in the middle there, she is a world-renowned cardiologist, practices in Dubai and in Houston. The guy on the right from her is Dr. Redner. He created the pain management program for Harvard Medical School and Harvard Medical. The doctor in the middle, and it's too small for me to read his name, but it's Dr. Joe. He graduated #1 from the #1 heart surgery program in the United States, Texas Heart Institute. I just got a message from the man on the right who is a professor in Beijing and practices in the United States. He's a Mayo graduate. And so it's just, they all serve for free because they've all seen the amazing outcome. So God bless you. I hope you'll consider joining us. And this call is every Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, which is morning time in the Southern Hemisphere. Right now, we're doing a 90-day run. So we also have calls at 2 p.m. Mountain Time every day. Every weekday, 5 days a week until July. So I hope you'll join us. Hope you'll get your friends to look. We're making a difference, and it's all because of you. Thank you, and God bless you. Michael?
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. And firstly, ladies and gentlemen, someone asked me where the YouTube channel was. I've put that into the chat, but just know we had a technical glitch with this particular one because it's brand new for us, live streaming on YouTube. We do have a recording though, so I'll put that into the group shortly. But for all future events, they'll always be live streamed on the YouTube channel, which is in the chat. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are.